We have made it to week 4 in the National Football League. And Ryan, it keeps coming like so fast every single week. It's like, what am I doing this week? Tuesday we have off, and then it's like Wednesday, get into it, Thursday night football, and then it keeps going. So week 4 already. Ryan, how you doing? Good to see you.
Doing good, man. Football does not stop. This is the best time of year, and looking forward to getting back at it. Tuesday's the lonely day. It's the day we don't do anything, but it was recovery day for me because I went to the game Monday night, did the post game with the guys on hashtag, and so Tuesday was a deep recovery opportunity for me, and then right back at it today.
Yeah, I always tell people at work during football season, especially Tuesdays are my worst day of the week. Like Mondays aren't as bad to me as Tuesdays because Tuesdays there's nothing, right? You wake up in the morning, you're tired, and there's no Monday night football to look forward to. There's nothing. So I wake up early Tuesdays. I'm like, this sucks. But hey, again, it's only one day a week, especially since I do high school football. That means my Fridays are busy. Like it's always just busy, except for on Tuesdays. Then I'll take it. But hey, Ryan, we both won a little bit. We won a little bit. We still lost overall last week with our parlays and things like that. But it's nice for me, since it's my first win, you still in the plus column when it comes to the parlays.
Yeah, I mean, it was another iffy week. I thought, I thought I had things dialed in with Gardner Minshew. He was on track, man, and then that game got out of hand. They wound up pulling everybody.
Yeah.
Really thought we had the good matchup there with James Conner, the anytime touchdown. That didn't pan out. That would have secured both of us another anytime touchdown parlay. So just a couple things just don't go your way. But feeling good about the picks we got this week.
Yeah, no, I like the picks this week. I was looking at them. I felt pretty confident about them. Speaking of the picks, before we go on, Ryan, I want you to tell us about one of hashtag sponsors, BetDSI.
Yeah, you guys love to support hashtag sports, and we appreciate the support. Make sure you support the folks that support us. BetDSI, they've been around for over 20 years. They know how to treat real fans like us with the best odds, the fastest payout, and a platform that's as solid as that Bills defense, despite the injuries. Whether you're betting on the Bills to dominate the AFC or making those crucial live bets during the game, BetDSI is everything you need to make your picks count. And they've got something special for hashtag sports listeners. Sign up today. Use that promo code on the corner of the screen there, HTAG, and BetDSI is going to hook you up with 120% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. Extra cash in your pocket. That's the money that you have the fun parlays with, is the money that you can afford to lose because it's the free money. They're going to give you 120%. That's unheard of in the marketplace. Any site you go to, they're not going to give you 120% match on your first deposit, but BetDSI will. Promo code HTAG up to $1,000. They'll match you. So don't wait. Head over to betdsi.eu. Use promo code HTAG and start turning your Bills knowledge into big wins. BetDSI, where the real Bills fans win.
Yeah, and like I said before, just after you get your first promo, believe me, guys, they keep sending you more. Okay, so you get your first 120 match back, and then even after that, they're sending more promos. And like Ryan said, betting with free money is so much nicer. When I just had a baseball parlay today that I was watching, and one of my legs was Tampa Bay covering 1.5, and they're not. But I was like, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? All right, Tampa. But I knew you sucked, so it was money that I was spending, kind of whimly, and it happened. So okay, no problem. So before we get into the betting, we went in the off season, and it's funny when Ryan and I were talking about what we were going to discuss these games. This is the last week of 16 games until later in the season. Next week we start bye weeks, right? Which is crazy. They start so early sometimes. But I also think last year and this year, there are a couple weeks in between where there are no bye weeks, right? Like I think Thanksgiving week, there's no bye weeks, but then there's bye weeks after, something like that. So we'll keep you updated on that. But when you have 16 games to go over, Ryan and I are like, well, we don't have time to go over every single game. So we'll just go over the games that we are different on, that we differ, and we'll talk about those a little bit. Well, Ryan, if that's the case, let's get straight to our bets, because there's not much that we differ on this week. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're about to find out. Before we go over our bets, let's remind everyone how we did last week. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, luckily for me, I'm at least consistent week 2, week 3 against the spread. I think I went 8-8 both. No, I went below 500 last week against the spread. I think it was straight up. I went 8-8. But either way, 8-8 for me. Against the spread last week, Ryan, you went 10-6. I think that's your first double-digit win week for against the spread.
Yep.
So that's good. So you're improving at least. And 8-8 straight up. So good to see. Good to see us at least trying to get someone in double digits. You see our results through 3 weeks so far. Straight up 27-21. We both are 27. Actually, we're both tied in both of them. And against spread 25-23. Against the spread, even if you finish above 500 against the spread, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're up units in that regard, unless, again, the difference of one game here, obviously those are different for both of us, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're up units due to the odds. So, but we'll get better this week and make it easy, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll go through our games first. As I see the chat starting to light up, hey guys, how you doing? Thank you for joining us live. If you do join us live, or if you don't join us live, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like this video, and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to Hashtag Sports. And the great thing about these videos is Paul does a great job. At least I believe it's Paul. Breaking these up into shorts too. So if you just want a little bit of this information throughout the week, you can check out Hashtag Shorts, short 1 to 3 minute videos, and they got you covered there. Ryan, I also believe that you and Paul do some fantasy shorts as well.
Yeah, give a follow if you guys are on social media already. Make sure you give a follow to the hashtag TikTok channel as well, so you'll get those shorts in TikTok. And if you subscribe and like on YouTube, you'll get notified when the shorts go up. All throughout the week, these videos are broken up and put on there, and then there is fantasy advice going up on a weekly basis as well over on the TikTok channel. So make sure you give that a follow as well. Looking on growing that following as much as we can over on TikTok. We did actually some of the post game on Monday night went up on TikTok as well. So the bigger following we can get over there, the longer we're able to go live. So make sure you give that a follow, the hashtag TikTok handle.
Yeah, I know we're trying to get to at least over 1,000 over there. So yeah, we can go do those longer lives. Maybe I'll put some of the live stream of the games on that TikTok channel as well to kind of get that number boosting up a little bit. But we do appreciate all the support. But those are our numbers through 3 weeks. Like I said, here we are, week 4, and we're going to keep trying to plow through these and get better and better. Ryan, I don't know if you have the toggle because it's not letting me toggle to the next slide. There we go. All right, so we start with Thursday night. Tomorrow night, big divisional matchup in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys are going to New Jersey, playing the Giants, who are coming off their first win against the Browns. A pretty impressive victory. A lot of people didn't see that coming. I know Ryan and I didn't, but they come away with the victory, look to make it back-to-back wins. And even though, Ryan, we both picked Dallas across the board here, we picked the over, the one thing I do have to say is week 4 of the NFL season is when fatigue starts setting in these Thursday night matchups. You see some matchups that you don't think are necessarily close, but the home team on these Thursday night games has a huge advantage because they don't have to travel.
Yeah, but I think Dallas found their stride last week against Baltimore. They almost got back. They did get back into that game. They almost won that football game. I think they got a lot of momentum. You can tell that there's, some arguing going on in the locker room. There's, CeeDee Lamb's coming out and taking responsibility. Micah Parsons hitting his podcast that he's got. It's the makings of a team that's ready to send a message to the league. I think Dallas is still one of the best teams in the NFC. And I think that they're ready to come out and play. And I think that's where my picks go here in this particular game. Is I think New York's fine. I mean, Neighbors is playing well. Singletary's running the ball pretty well. I just think Dallas is ready to send a message, and they're a good enough football team that I think they should put this game away.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that one. I feel like the game last week was a rough situation for them. Baltimore coming in 0-2. I think if Baltimore is 1-1 in that situation, we may even see a different outcome. But the Ravens had to play with that desperation. And I think that's the same desperation that you need to see out of the Cowboys tomorrow night as well. I look at this 45.5, and the reason why I picked the over is because I could easily see Dallas, like you said, making a statement and scoring 35 points by themselves and not needing too much from the Giants to get that over. And you'll see that also with my with one of my bets this week as well. So then after the Thursday night game, move on to Sunday. A couple great divisional matchups on Sunday. I'm excited for it. And the first one here is the Atlanta Falcons at home against the New Orleans Saints. Atlanta coming off that tough Sunday night loss to the Chiefs. Again, you see Ryan and I here both going with the Falcons, riding with the Falcons. Ryan, you have the over, and I picked the under. The reason for me picking the under is simply due to history when it comes to divisional matchups. Don't know if you have a specific reason why I picked the over here at 42.5. I know these offenses can score, just don't know if they will this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think two good offenses, two not great defenses tends to lead to points. I also think 42.5 is not a lot of points for teams like this. Of course, as soon as I locked in my pick, it got announced that Alvin Kamara missed practice today, so that kind of hurts the over a little bit. But I still think these teams can put up points in bunches. Kirk Cousins is continuing to get healthy for Atlanta. It seems he's more comfortable every game. And really they're a missed pass interference call away from beating the defending champs last week. So I think Atlanta's trending in the right direction. Everybody picked them to be the best team in the AFC South or NFC South this season. And it seems like they're kind of rounding into form, finding their stride. Bijan is getting to be an all-purpose back again. He's one of the best in the business right now. So, and the Saints got their bell rung last week, and those types of losses are tough to recover from.
Yeah, they did. It's funny. You talk about the Falcons almost beating the Super Bowl champions last week, and I just recently today saw a TikTok or a YouTube short, I forget which one, but of the 3 wins by Kansas City so far. You're talking about a centimeter out of bounds for Baltimore. You're talking about a pass interference call against the Bengals, and you're talking about a missed pass interference call against the Falcons. And when people talk about the Chiefs getting those calls, that's what they're talking about. 3 wins, all decided, 2 of them by calls, 1 of them just by a centimeter, right? And, say what you want. He was clearly out of bounds. I know some people were like, he wasn't out of bounds. No, he was. But it wasn't by much. So there's the Chiefs for you. Going on to the next matchup, the Bears are at home. They're favored in this matchup, 3-point favorites, which is also a surprise because, like you talked about before, Ryan, 2.5 to 3 was the normal spread that Vegas would give the home team, right? But now it's kind of cut back to like 1.5 points, I believe.
Yeah, it's down to about 1.5 now. So really, I mean, this is saying on a neutral field, they still think Chicago is 1.5 points better than the Rams. And I don't know that that's the case. I mean, obviously the Rams are without Cooper Kupp. They're without Puka Nacua for another week. But Kyron Williams found some momentum last week running the football. You saw Demarcus Robinson. You saw Tutu Atwell kind of emerge as legitimate targets for Matt Stafford. Stafford seemed more comfortable in the pocket. The interesting thing that I found from this game is that Chicago is 3-0 against the spread this season. And I think that's one of the things where that comes to an end, because I think this is going to be a tight game. I just don't know, I'm not a believer yet in this Chicago offense. They've got all the weapons in the world, but Caleb Williams, 2 touchdowns last week. He played really well for the most part. I just think that the Rams will find their stride, and I don't see why it doesn't come against Chicago.
Yeah, even though we both picked, we picked the Rams to cover a 3-point underdog spread. Like if this was the Rams -3, then I could actually see myself leaning the other way as far as the spread is concerned. But with the +3, again, I think the Rams are winning this game. For me, it's a matter of signal callers. Like you said, Williams inconsistent, still finding his rhythm, and he will, but not right now. Rams, Matthew Stafford. Like, I don't care what wide receivers are there. Matthew Stafford has been here long enough where he knows how to work with the wide receivers he has. You still have the Rams tight end. I forget his name. I was about to say Laporta because I was thinking about the Lions, but that's not who it is. And like you said, Williams, got into a little bit of stride last week too for the Rams. So for that reason, I am picking the Rams as well. Going on to the next matchup, you have another great division matchup, and you talk about a team kind of on the rise, coming out of nowhere, the Minnesota Vikings, 3-0 start, and as you see there, 3-0 against the spread as well, going into Green Bay. And the latest news is that Jordan Love, at least from what I've heard, Jordan Love will play. And I think that clearly affects how we bet on this game. Correct, Ryan?
Yeah, that's the difference for me. Jordan Love is
Mhm.
back. They're able to run their full offense at this point. You know, it was a little bit of a patchwork offense with Malik Willis. It worked, right? They
Yep.
won 2 games with him at the helm.
Mhm.
But Jordan Love's a better quarterback. Jordan Love's the
Mhm.
quarterback that they designed this offense for. So you're getting a full gambit of, a Packers offense. And
Yeah.
we've all watched Sam Darnold play football long enough to where we know that this is not the Sam Darnold that we're going to get week in and week out, right? You're going to have a bad Sam Darnold game. I think, Jair Alexander can do a good enough job on Justin Jefferson to kind of keep him
Mhm.
contained,
Mhm.
keep him under control a little bit from there. I'm not sure who beats you for Minnesota.
Right.
Green Bay's good against the run. Minnesota, they would lean on Aaron Jones, who's averaging 5 yards a carry, but Green Bay's good
Mhm.
against the run. So I think this is one where Green Bay at home, Lambeau Field, they always play well at home in front of their home crowd. I
Yeah.
think this is a game that it's finally time for the Vikings to kind of come back to where everyone thought they were going to be as the season started.
Yeah, I think the Vikings this week is kind of like what happened to the Saints last week, right? Kind of come back down to earth a little bit, realize that you still do have Sam Darnold. Because this Packers defense, in my opinion, is much better than they get credit for. Like, I think this defense is
Yeah,
legitimate
agreed.
defense. Like you said, Alexander will do a good enough job. You're never going to stop Justin Jefferson, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. But containing him enough where he won't have a bigger effect on the outcome than he does in a lot of games. So give me Green Bay. I have Green Bay in a tight one. You have Green Bay covering a spread. It's tough, right? I look at this game like I'm betting on 2 points basically, right? And so if you're betting on Green Bay, you like taking everything above 2 points in
Yeah.
this matchup,
Yeah.
right? So me picking the 2.5 points is just assuming that since this is a division matchup, the two top teams currently in the NFC North, that this is going to be a tight one. But again, I'm betting on 2 points. So take that for what it is. Going on to the next game on Sunday. I think this one might be a fun one simply because Indy's at home. And we all know that Pittsburgh plays a lot differently at home compared to on the road. So this one was a little tough for me to decide. But again, you see Ryan and I thinking the same way, even though I think this one will be a tough game. We saw the Colts win last week against the Bears. I think the Steelers still pull this one out. The Colts had 3 rushing touchdowns last week, and I don't think the Steelers are going to give up rushing touchdowns. So we'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's defense is really good. Anthony
Mhm.
Richardson is extremely inconsistent right now. He's not playing good football. I think there's a lot of questions about Anthony Richardson going on in Indianapolis right now.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's just the better football team. I still don't know
Mhm.
how good Pittsburgh is, like when push
Right.
comes to shove and they get into games with good football teams, but they're certainly a good enough football team to beat a not great football team. And that's what the Indianapolis Colts are right now. So I'll take Pittsburgh. I'll take the spread, but I will take the under on this one. I think this is going to be a boring game. You're not going to see much of it on red
Mhm.
zone. Probably not going to be worth watching too much. So it's going to be pretty boring to watch, but Pittsburgh winds up
Yeah.
winning this one, I think.
As someone who likes defensive struggles, I think this one might be fun to watch. But at the same time, to me, there's a difference between two good defenses and just ugly football, right? There's a chance this could be a low scoring game simply because it's ugly football and the Steelers have a good defense.
Right.
So it might work out to that way. So I agree with you. But yeah, I don't know where the points are even coming from in this game. I could see Boswell having a game like he did week 1 where they just win this game on field goals alone, and that's fine. But yeah, that's how we see it. Moving on to the next game on Sunday slate, still 1 o'clock game. The Jets, who will have extra rest after the Thursday game, where they look pretty good, Ryan, going against the Denver Broncos, who again got their first win on Sunday. But to me, their win on Sunday against Tampa Bay was Tampa coming back down to earth a little bit more than it was Denver really showing anything. Bo Nix had a decent game. I don't think he played great or really even that good, but good enough. But now he's going up against a legitimate Jets defense that's not gonna stand for it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Robert Saleh, who gets
Mm-hmm.
a long break to prepare for a rookie quarterback that usually does not bode well for the rookie quarterback. Aaron
Right.
Rodgers seems to be playing better within this Jets offense. They're kind of finding their rhythm and how they want to
Mm-hmm.
be successful. Garrett Wilson, we're yet to see him break out. I'm not sure that comes this week with Patrick Surtain on the other side of the football. That's a tough
Yeah.
matchup for them, but the Jets have found a second running back to go along with Brees Hall and Braylon
Mm-hmm.
Allen. And that's problems for a team like Denver because they can't really do a lot against the run. I think the Jets are going to run early and often in this game. And this is another one. The spread was kind of iffy for me because I could see a backdoor cover. I could see a late field goal from Denver. I could see a late touchdown from Denver to pull it under that amount. But the Jets absolutely mollywopped the Patriots last week, and I think the Patriots are a better football team right now than the Broncos are. So I think the Jets are built to win this one by double digits.
Sure, and I don't disagree with that. But again, as you just talked about, the matchup for Surtain versus Wilson, I think that kind of negates a lot of passing in this one. And you have a two-headed monster now for the Jets. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And when you're talking about 38.5 points, it's really tough to not cover 38.5, but cover a 7.5 point spread. Does that make sense? Like that's just a lot of you're really limiting your scoring potential there if you're doing that. Now it could happen. Denver might not score more than 3-6 points, and you could easily see the cover. But I'm just going off the math here, saying if I believe the score is going to be under 38.5, which I do, 7.5 is a lot to cover within that spread. So that's why I picked the Broncos to cover the spread. You have the Broncos getting mollywopped, and that very well could happen. Going on to the next game on Sunday, this one could be a fun one. Again, picking a spread here. I picked the Buccaneers to cover 2 points. So I'm again betting on 2 points, where Ryan's like, I'll take 2.5 to infinity for the Eagles to cover this game because we both see Eagles winning this game. Just hearing the news today about their other receiver being out, Smith being out, that's going to really handcuff what the Eagles can do on offense. So I think this will be a close game. But Saquon's still Saquon, and Saquon's going to Saquon.
Yeah, and AJ Brown could be back as early as this week. He's back to being listed as questionable as opposed to doubtful. If he's back, I think this is a completely different type of football game for Philadelphia. But Saquon's running the ball really well. I think Tampa looked confused, and they kind of looked like they weren't sure what was going on offensively last week. And this defensive front from Philadelphia is going to make a team like that pay. And I think this is, ultimately a game that the better team and the more established team should win, and that's Philadelphia in this instance.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I just I think about the Eagles' last win. I believe it was close, right, against the Saints. I just don't know how what they're going to do on offense. And Jalen Hurts last week, even though they won, still not looking good. Not looking good. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Moving on, we got the Cincinnati Bengals 0-3, a surprising 0-3. And I did also want to mention the Steelers game when we were breaking down the Steelers game. During the offseason, we talked about, best bets, money that we like. The Steelers are still plus money to win the division, even though right now they have a 2-game lead over every single team in that division. So I'm just throwing that out there if you fans are looking for maybe some plus money. That's nice odds there. But anyhow, the Bengals coming in 0-3. Going to Carolina, playing the Carolina Panthers. And again, Ryan and I kind of see this going the same way. I could actually see the Bengals doing to Carolina what we see Dallas doing to the Giants on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one. Burrow and Chase got on the same page last week, 2 touchdowns. And Carolina, great story last week with Andy Dalton stepping in. But that emotional high only lasts so long. No more Adam Thielen. So now you've got a really young receiving core. You've got a team in Cincinnati who knows Andy Dalton. They know his traits, they know his trends and all that kind of stuff. So I think this is a tough matchup for Dalton on the defensive side of the ball. And then the other thing, too, is now they've got an offense on the other side that can actually go out and score points and can keep up and kind of push the pace a little bit. So I think Cincinnati runs away. I'm actually surprised that this is only a 4-point spread, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
This turned into a double-digit game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to me, that's the reason why I picked the under in this one, because of what we said last week about double-digit spreads. Cincinnati's going to get up by a lot early and just control the clock and not give Carolina the possessions to score a lot of points. And they won't score a lot of points even if they have the possessions to do so. So, I see the Bengals win this one, and like we both agree, this could easily be a double-digit win for the Bengals. Moving on to again another divisional matchup, another good one. Jacksonville surprisingly 0-3, just got destroyed by the Bills on Monday night, going against the Houston Texans, who also are coming off a loss on Sunday. We both see the Texans win in this matchup. We both see a lot of points. We just simply disagree on the spread. Again, to me, 6.5 in a divisional matchup is a lot, but I can understand why over 6.5 would be easy for the Texans to cover, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with this one is the Texans are to present the same kind of problem to Jacksonville as Buffalo did. They have so many weapons, and I think Jacksonville's really going to struggle to play that man-to-man style of defense like they try to. Buffalo killed them with that. Josh Allen was just too good. C.J. Stroud is a monster against man-to-man defenses. He's got multiple weapons. Looks like Joe Mixon's probably going to be back this week, so they're going to have a running game that they can hang their hat on a little bit. Texans are they're a team that wants to get back on track. They've got they're firmly looking at the Buffalo Bills coming up next week, and they need a get right game here against the Jaguars. And the type of game that the Jaguars played last week against the Bills, those types of losses take some time to get over. Those aren't like we bounce back the next week. That was an absolutely embarrassing kind of football game, and you don't just bounce back the next week from a game like that. And I think that's the difference here is that was a demoralizing type of loss. They're a rudderless ship right now. Their coach is in trouble. Their quarterback is getting questioned. And I don't know how they right the ship in 1 week against a team like Houston.
Yeah, it's amazing to me because I believe their owner Khan said that this was the most talented team that Jacksonville's ever had. Like he made that announcement or that said that the offseason. Well, it's a tough look when they're 0-3.
Yeah, I mean the problem is I don't know that I'd argue with him when he says that, right? Like this is a talented team offensively. Brian Thomas is good, the ETN's a good, but this is just I don't even know what's going on. I mean, this is a team without a leader right now.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So maybe he needs to go back to sticking to wrestling. But hey, whatever. He owns a football team. I don't. So what do I know?
That's
Good
right.
for him. But yeah, we both see the Texans win that game. Going to the NFC Sunday, starting the 4:00 lineup of games. This is surprisingly to me a sneaky good game.
This is going to be a fun one.
This is going to be a fun one, right? This is going to be a good one to watch. I know that this isn't one of the primetime 425 slots, but this is one of those games where I'm happy I have NFL Network. I'm happy the Bills don't, Sunday Ticket. I'm happy the Bills don't play in the same time slot. This might be one that I tune into as the Washington Commanders go into Arizona to play Arizona Cardinals. Ryan and I both see this being a close game. We probably 3 points or less, but we both see Arizona coming out on top. But man, I was looking at that 50.5, Ryan. I was like, that's a lot of points. But yes, they're gonna get there.
Yeah, I mean Washington hasn't punted in 2 weeks, right? This is a really good offense. It's a really fun offense. It seems like Jaden Daniels is comfortable in the pocket. Finally, he's letting it rip a little bit downfield. The question I think for Arizona is there a healthy Trey McBride? That if he's healthy, this Arizona offense is getting to the point where it can be overwhelming for teams to kind of deal with. Marvin Harrison's finding his stride. It seems like they've got a couple of wide receivers in Wilson and Dortch behind him that are kind of stepping into that role player role. They obviously run the ball really well. This is going to be a fun game because these are two teams that don't have very good defenses, two teams that have really good offenses, and those are the games that are really fun to watch. And again, whenever you got one of the teams that hasn't punted in 2 weeks, like that's an offense that you got to subscribe to and tune into.
Yeah, I think last week's Washington game was the first game ever where there were no turnovers and no punts, if I'm remembering.
Yep, no turnovers, no punts in the modern football, modern era of football. That's astounding.
That's fun. That's fun right there. So, yeah, we'll definitely be tuning into that game. Moving to the next matchup, you have the 49ers. 10 points, a lot of points, especially for a banged-up 49ers team. But they did get good news today. Brock Purdy was able to be a full participant in practice, so it looks like he will go. And that, Ryan, for me, that's what affected my decision here.
I mean, but New England's not good. New England's coming back down to earth. San Francisco defense is going to absolutely feast on Jacoby Brissett this week. And then offensively, is Kittle back? Is Debo back? It doesn't seem to matter because they've got like Jennings, who's just going to go off. Is he going to have another 3 touchdown game? Is Ayuk finally going to kind of get his stride going? We'll talk about that in the parlay picks with Ayuk. But I just think ultimately it's scheme versus scheme, and I'll take Kyle Shanahan over whatever the Patriots are going to try and throw at you offensively. I think this is just one where New England will be lucky to get into the red zone, let alone score a touchdown. And, and San Francisco is just going to be overwhelming.
Yeah, which is funny because as I was picking this game, same thing we said about the game earlier is it's hard to find a matchup where they're going to be under 40 points and yet still cover a 10-point spread. And yet you and I are on the same page. Like New England's scoring 3 points maybe in this game. So it's going to be easy for San Fran to cover this. It will be 35-3 and Ryan and I will be fine. Like that's what it's going to be. So yeah, we're both on the same page here. Again, that's a 405 game. So out of the 2 405 games, you know which one to turn into for the first 20 minutes. You might be interested in that second 425 game, though. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, we got to do the Cleveland Browns at the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, Ryan and I, exactly the same. We see this exact same. In fact, before we went on live here, if you pay attention, Ryan and I picked every single money line the exact same all week long. So, again, that could be really good or really bad, depending how the week turns out.
Yeah, I mean, on this one, it's just, again, the Raiders are kind of a team in disarray. There were, quote, business decisions being made last week, and now everyone is spending their time breaking down the film to find out who they were talking about. Devontae Adams looks absolutely disinterested in being in Las Vegas anymore. He went there to play with Carr, and they promptly got rid of him. And so now he's kind of stuck there with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And it's like, this is my own personal hell if you're Devontae Adams. And, and Cleveland, I think, I don't know if they're a good football team, but I feel like they're a better football team than the Raiders right now. And when I can get a dog that I think is a better team, I'm going to take that team, every day of the week. And I think Cleveland has enough defensively to kind of keep the Raiders under wraps, regardless of who's playing quarterback. And offensively, it doesn't take a lot, I don't think, to beat this Raiders team, especially at a 37.5 point over under. I mean, it's like you're talking maybe 3 touchdowns scored the entire game.
You know that the Adams is looking at what Antonio Brown did a few years ago when he was traded to the Raiders for a minute and left real quick. He's like, man, that's what I need to do.
He's looking at it and he's going, you know what? I get it. I didn't get it in the moment, but I get it.
I get it now. Poor guy. Yeah, he comes to play with Derek Carr and they're like, oh, well, see you. See you later. We're trading him too. But yeah, we both have the Browns here. And I think this is going to be a game where the running game is takes fold, and we'll see that as well in our parlays in a little bit here. But then going on to the game that I think would have been more interesting if Herbert would have been playing, because I believe Justin Herbert is still the only guy in that division to actually beat Patrick Mahomes. Like, I think that's just, Denver's never beaten Mahomes, I don't think, and I don't think the Raiders have either up to this point, or at least beat him twice. I think Justin Herbert's beat him a few times, but no Justin Herbert, so that changes this game a little bit. I still do believe that they can cover a spread. I think Harbaugh will still have a good game plan. They'll run the ball a little bit more. They'll find a way to find the end zone, and I think they'll cover a over touchdown spread. And again, backdoor spreads matter, right, Ryan? Like, this could be a 13-point game late in the fourth, and Kansas City can back up a little bit and the Chiefs or the Chargers can find a way in the end zone, and I'm still good with that. But so yeah, this is the game we have the most differences, but we still see the Chiefs coming out on top.
Yeah, I think this one is back to Kansas City's offense isn't great. They're not looking super overwhelming right now. No Justin Herbert, it doesn't look like, at least for the Chargers. That is a problem, right? Because they already struggle moving the ball through the air with Justin Herbert in, and without him, it's kind of like it's not difficult for Spags to plan for this one, right? Like, he's just going to load the box and make them try to run the ball 50 times between Dobbins and Gus Edwards at 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And those games tend not to end well when you've got Mahomes on the other side. Mahomes is going to do enough, I think, to cover this one, make it a 2-possession football game. That's enough for me to cover the spread. I'm happy. I think this one is fairly unceremonious in terms of what it looks like. I'm going to be dialed in on that Commanders that Cardinals game. None of these 4 o'clock games interest me beyond that one at this point.
Yeah. I think that Kansas City wins this game. If this game's in Kansas City, I would give them the 7.5 point spread. But again, if this was in Kansas City, the spread would be more towards 10 points at this point. But yeah, I think that in LA, I think they keep it a little closer. So, but we'll see. Moving to Sunday night, and you know what? Some of you might be interested in this game. I don't know. I just feel like some of you might have your eyeballs glued into this game. This is going to be a fun one, I believe, a really fun one between our Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. I just don't understand what the Bills have to do to not be underdogs in this situation. How they've come out this season compared to Baltimore. Baltimore showed that sense of urgency last week and still allowed 19 points in the fourth quarter and almost let the Cowboys come back. And Baltimore has a history of doing that. So I don't get it.
Yeah, there's so much a sense of urgency that they almost pissed the game away last week.
Right.
That's how backed up against the wall they felt, that they were willing to take their foot off the gas in the third quarter. Yeah, I mean, listen, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. The Buffalo Bills are the best football team in the NFL right now. I'll argue that case, and I'll fight anybody who wants to disagree with me. They are the best football team right now in the NFL. They are offensively, they're an absolute juggernaut. Defensively, you've got Sean McDermott, and that's good enough for me right now. And then when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, the question is, how are they going to attack the Buffalo Bills on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
If you blitz if you blitz Allen, you've got to play man behind it. We know what he does against man defenses. If you play zone and you only bring 4, you've got to get pressure. This Bills offensive line is playing really well right now. Spencer Brown's the only offensive lineman in the NFL who has not allowed a pressure all season. Right. He's playing really well. And the other thing too is, we talked about this a little bit in the post game. They haven't really had to dial into Superman Josh yet, right? Correct. And you figure that there's going to be a few games this season where it's just going to have to be Josh, just go win us a football game. And at the end of the day, you get a close game. Like, I think this one's going to be a little bit closer than what we're used to. Look at the game last week. Put Josh Allen in instead of Dak Prescott and ask yourself who wins that football game 9 times out of 10. It's and if right now this season, if you, gun to my head, said you got one drive to go win the game, do you want Josh Allen or do you want Lamar Jackson? That's an easy decision for me. And that's what it comes down to here, is who's the better quarterback, who's the team that's playing better football right now. Ravens can be as back against the wall as they want. I just think Buffalo's playing overwhelming right now, and I think they're hungry. I mean, I think Buffalo is a team that plays well when they're the underdog, right? So this line, Vegas line, the national media outlets, everyone picking Baltimore, they're doing exactly what the Bills are looking for them to do, right? Is give us a reason to have a chip on our shoulder come Sunday night, and we'll take care of the rest. And this is just a game that I think is it's shocking to me that they're underdogs. They'd be underdogs on a neutral field according to this this spread. And I think that's the insulting part for Buffalo, and watch out Baltimore.
Yeah, Monday when I was live streaming the game, and then again, guys, I'll be live streaming this game as well. I was like, oh no, everyone's going to be picking Buffalo to win next week, and it's just going to be a letdown spot, right? And then I see everyone's picking Baltimore. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Baltimore, yay, Baltimore, yay, Baltimore. And to add to what you said, it's not just this season. There are very few seasons, and this includes winning 1 MVPs, where if you gave me one drive, one quarterback who's going to win, I'm taking Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen's just a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. That's my opinion. But, one guy has 2 MVPs, the other guy doesn't. So whatever. Yeah. We'll just move on from that. 2 Monday Night Football games this week. Once again, the NFL has to make that money somehow. Unfortunately, I don't know how many people are going to be watching this one. As the Tennessee Titans go to Miami to play the Dolphins. Don't even know who's the starting quarterback for Miami at this point. Ryan, maybe you've heard, but I don't pay attention because I just really don't care.
It sounds like it might be Tyler Huntley.
Right. You could put the over-under at this game at 12 points. I still might pick the under. I don't know how points are being scored in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the NFL was thinking when they picked this as the game. I mean, maybe they thought, I don't know. Maybe they thought, they were gonna Tua and company were gonna hang 30 on Tennessee. This game is so boring that BetDSI didn't even have a money line
Who
amount
cares?
on it at the time that we submitted this. They were just like,
Yeah.
spreads +1. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't know money line.
this has to simply be because of what happened last year on Monday Night Football between these two teams, right? Like that has to be the only reason why
Rematch.
this game would be on Monday night again.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
honestly, last week until the DeMar Hamlin interception, I didn't put together why they would have the Bills and Bengals on at the same time.
Yeah.
But then it all poetically made sense at one point. I was like, oh yeah, how about that? But luckily for us, oh, go ahead.
I think that McDaniel will have the Dolphins offensively at least ready enough where the spread is a little absurd to me. I mean, I think the Dolphins, even whether it's Tyler Huntley, whether it's whoever, Skylar Thompson at quarterback, I think the Dolphins are better than 1-point favorites over the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis is an absolute disaster right now. He has no idea what's going on. He has no idea how to play the game of football anymore. His coach is screaming at him on the sidelines. Like, they're all terrified for their jobs, and now they have to go to Miami and play tag with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane, and it's like, I have no idea what they think they're going to do.
If you told me Hill was going to be playing out Wildcat, I'm like, yeah, I like this Miami team.
Sure. Like Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill at quarterback, and just go run the option, go run the old Army triple option, right? Like. And I'm fine with it. And would it surprise you if we saw some plays like that from McDaniel? Like, he's that type of innovative guy on offense.
He is. But again, luckily there is a second Monday Night Football game, and
a good one.
A good one. Yes, this one's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more entertaining as the Seattle Seahawks come in 3-0 this season, going against the Detroit Lions. And again, we see this going the same way. We see this a field goal type game. We both have the Lions winning this matchup. And we both have the over, as we think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think this is going to be a little less high scoring than the Washington Arizona game that we're going to get on Sunday, but still the same type of rhythm, right? Both these offenses like to move quickly, and I think that's what we'll see in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think the difference here between this game and the Cardinals game that you talked about is I think both these defenses are just a little bit better than those defenses in Washington and Arizona.
It's hard, but yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, this one is one where I can absolutely see, both quarterbacks throwing for over 300 yards, both, either the big receiver on either side winding up with, 100 plus yards, multiple touchdowns potentially. This is going to be a high scoring affair, I think. I think the over under is actually a little low in terms of what I would expect for this one. But I think this is another situation where it's like a 10-point game.
Yep.
Seattle's trying to get back into it. They get a late touchdown, don't recover the onside kick, something like that, and the Detroit kneels it out up 3 or something along those lines. And I kind of think that's where that one's going to land. But I think Seattle's a surprisingly good football team. Seems like 2022 Geno's back, good for him. And but the Lions, I think at some point have to kind of right this ship, because they can't go to 2-2. Especially if Jordan Love is back and they're suddenly at 3-1. The Vikings are at 3-1. The Lions can't be at 2-2 because that's got problems written all over it for a team that was a lot of people picked to be the Super Bowl winner this year. Right.
Yep. No, I agree with you. And speaking of defense, I believe Hutchinson for the Lions is currently leading in sacks, 5.5 sacks on the year. So good for him.
And he got them all in the last game, I think, right? Didn't he? He had like 5 or 5.5 in the last game. Yeah,
pretty much.
I think he was pretty close to tying the single game record for most sacks in a game last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Rousseau needs to do now, right? Get one of those games back. So
Von Miller's on that pace now, right? I mean, Von Miller's on pace for 17 sacks this season.
Let's go, Von Miller. Yeah. Keep going. So those are our picks for the week. Now it's time to get to our bets. And again, guys, we want to thank BetDSI for sponsoring Hashtag Sports all season long. Guys, go to BetDSI, link in the description below. Click on that link. BetDSI will match up to $1,000, 120% of your initial deposit. And then again, you just keep getting those what word am I missing here, Ryan? Yeah,
promo codes
and all that kind of stuff. So go to BetDSI. But here are our bets Again, we do the parlays. We have one parlay of the week where we bet 2 units. And again, 1 unit equals $5. Make sure you bet responsibly. And if you have a gambling problem or know someone who does, check out the phone number, get some help. Each state, Ryan, is different. Is that correct?
Yep. Every state has their own dedicated line. Make sure you look it up.
So you can look that up and get the help you need. Ryan and I, we might have a problem, but we have fun doing it. So we're going to keep
You have a problem. I am up over 7 units on the season, sir.
The problem is I'm losing.
You are playing catch up. You're chasing is what this is called.
Well, my first one, my lock, I like my lock. I really do. And the odds indicate that Jordan Mason, anytime touchdown for the Niners, Breece Hall, and Saquon Barkley. The anytime touchdowns, I don't mind that one. Now you go down to my other one. Yeah, a little chasing here, right?
Little sicko mode. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs, he's hit over 68 yards in both or 2 out of 3 of his matchups. So banking on that. Like you said earlier, the Cincinnati Bengals offense seems to be clicking a little bit more, and we both see that game getting out of hand early. And then J.K. Dobbins, please get in the end zone. I don't know if it's going to happen against that Chiefs defense, but he's gotten in the end zone quite a bit this season already. Could see it happening one more time on Sunday. Really help me out. Let me chase.
So for mine, sticking with the anytime touchdown parlay, I've already hit on one this season. This one is a little receiving heavy this time. Malik Neighbors, anytime touchdown, first primetime game for the Rook. Found his stride last week. He had 2 beautiful catches last week. He is finding his stride, and really he's kind of taking the lead right now, I think, for Rookie of the Year. In the NFL. Kyron Williams, again, he found his stride last week. I think this is a high-scoring affair. They get inside the 5, and it's going to be the Kyron Williams show. That he got into the end zone last week. And Brandon Ayuk, man, he's due to get into the end zone. I think he had 5 receptions last week. I think this is an opportunity for them. Let's not pretend that Brandon Ayuk was not vocal last week, that Juwan Jennings found the end zone 3 times and he did not find it once. So, he's the star receiver. They're going to center focus on him, and they're gonna throw to him early and often, I think, especially in the red zone. And then my Bills specific parlay, I'm actually 2-1 on these on the season so far. I like a Josh Allen anytime touchdown. It's Superman mode for Josh this week. I think he's gonna wind up running one in. And then Josh Allen, 226 or more passing yards. I think this one hits relatively easily. That's plus 254 if both of those things happen. So that's my Bills special of the week as well. And then the anytime touchdown, that's at 725. Not too bad, but that was about what the one that hit on was. So it was about 750, I think. So I like that number for the anytime touchdown parlays.
Yeah, and if I have to keep chasing here coming up soon, I'm going to start doing 4-leg parlays.
Yeah, listen when you get into 3-digit parlays in terms of odds, like plus 1,000 or more, Joe, I'm pulling the plug on you.
It might come to that. I need to do something here. So we go to our single bets, and again, these are just just trying to catch up for me. Like I'm trying to figure out a way to catch up. I am 1-0 on those dual type bets. So I did bet another one with Jerome Ford getting into the end zone plus a Browns win. That's paying off at plus 334. So I'm liking that one. Dalton Kincaid's at plus 131 to get 5+ receptions. The Ravens have allowed the second most fantasy points to tight ends. So I think that bodes well for Kincaid, who's gotten more and more targets every week. I think it was 2 targets week 1, 4 targets week 2, 5 last week. So looking for him to get a little bit more this week. And then CeeDee Lamb tomorrow night, 2+ touchdowns. Again, like we talked about when we covered this game at the opening of the show, he was vocal last week about what happened. He didn't, out of those 19 points, he didn't score any. He's going to be the main focus, I believe, for Dak. And I was actually struggling between if I wanted to do 2 touchdowns or the first touchdown, because that's playing at plus 500. So I was struggling which one I wanted to do there. But I decided to go with CeeDee Lamb, 2+ touchdowns tomorrow's game.
Yeah, and for mine, my one big wager, Khalil Shakir, 4 or more receptions, 50 or more yards, and a touchdown in that week. That game against Baltimore, he's done the 4 receptions and 50 or more yards the last 2 games. He got into the end zone last week. I think he's starting to emerge as Josh's preferred target. Can you blame the guy? I mean, he catches everything that comes near him. He'd be my favorite target too if I was quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. So again, 4 and 50. He's done that the last 2 weeks. If he does it again and gets in the end zone, that's plus 400. I really like that line. So I snatched it up. CeeDee Lamb, Joe talked about it, 82 plus receiving yards. I think that's easy money right there, minus 125. CeeDee Lamb had multiple drops in 4 games last season. All 4 games the following week, he went over 100 yards and a touchdown in all 4 weeks. So he is a man on a mission. So I think CeeDee Lamb easily gets to 82 yards and then goes over. And then Bijan Robinson, 4+ receptions. He's starting to get into that mode of the primary back. He's had 4 or more receptions in the last 2 games. They're starting to look for him. Kirk Cousins historically has been able to support receiving backs. And I think Bijan Robinson is no different this week, and he gets the 4+ receptions, minus 123. Nice little bankroll builders there. If you feel it, go ahead and parlay them together, and you'll be in plus money pretty quick with those 2. If you want to throw them together in a parlay, they'll probably come in at about plus 180, something like that. So it's a nice little double up on your money. But those are my picks of the week. I'm not quite in tilt mode yet because I'm still in plus money. So I'm gonna let Joe go sicko mode on these, and I'm gonna stick with playing safe money.
Well, safe money, and as of right now, like we said, you're up, right? So you're playing with free money up until the end of the season. Obviously, you want to stay in the plus, but you don't have to go crazy. And these are, like you said, these are good builders to make sure you stay in the plus. If in the future, if one of my chasing bets hits and you find yourself having to chase towards the end of the year, it's easier to chase when you're up money, right? So we'll see if that works out. But those are picks. Those are bets. Again, if you weren't watching us live, catch us later on, or you catch one of the shorts. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let people know. Listen, if you like those picks, we got them for you. So for Ryan, for myself, it's late here on the East Coast. We look forward to a great week of football, including Buffalo Bills win. And we'll see you next week. Until we do, go Bills.
Go Bills.